We were one of the very early investors in Paystack alongside a number of other investors. And we invested in a number of companies. Once you wield your confidence or you stir your confidence, capital would follow.
In the early days of Africa's internet economy, very few people saw what was coming. Abasiama Idaresit did, a builder of ecosystems, an investor in the future, and one of the quiet forces behind Africa's digital transformation.
Follow the money. If you see money going this way, a lot of people throwing money in there, it is a reflection of investors' confidence.
From launching one of Africa's earliest digital marketing agencies to building Wild Fusion Holdings, a technology group spanning fintech infrastructure, agency banking, and digital innovation. In this episode, he shares how he became an early investor in Paystack, backed companies like Casava and big Cabal Media, and why in venture capital, confidence follows capital.
The money goes on the part of confidence. Make it attractive, investors will come.
We explored the future of artificial intelligence, a $5 trillion industry by 2033, and why data may become Africa's most valuable resource. Because when technology is built without African data in mind, Africa gets left behind. We also talked about the brutal lessons of investing, including the deal he walked away from that later delivered 10,000x returns. We spoke about his investment thesis. What shapes his investment decisions today?
I would want to have an idea of the size of demand versus supply. I would prefer a business where demand outstrips supply, and you are one of the suppliers and you can't meet demand.
Not just business strategies, but principles rooted in the Bible. This is the Frankly Business Podcast, where insight meets opportunities. Done businesses around the world, and you've scaled to different countries in Africa. You were one of the frontiers of digital marketing agency. Tell us about your journey. Let's get to know who you are, who you really are, beyond the light, camera, action, beyond the celebration. Let's get to know who you really are.
Okay, so my name is Abasiama Idaresit. Abbas for short. I am the CEO of Wild Fusion. Wild Fusion is a holding company with digital marketing subsidiary, a digital training center, a fintech, and an angel investment business, all under the holding company. The digital agency, we do have operations in Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. And my background is information systems. I studied information systems, and I do have an MBA from Manchester Business School. I am absolutely passionate about business, especially technology business. That's one of the things that has fueled me, kept me going through all these years till now. And I'm so passionate, and I am so involved in my day-to-day in building the business. It's what I do for a living and something I'm very, very passionate about. So I think that would be me summarizing, Abbas in, 2 minutes,
okay,
2 or 3 minutes.
Take us back to the early days. What was the first bold business risk you took that almost went wrong and you were able to survive it?
First bold business risk I took. I've taken so many. I'm trying to figure out the first one. Yeah. I think the first one was mainly when I resigned my job at that time and spoke to my dad that I want to start a business, that I know inside me I am a businessman and I can build something that can move companies and people from point A to point B. And he said, no, don't do that. We've spent so much money on your career. Literally the whole we've done so much, so this is the time for you to settle down. And I was in my 20s, and I said, let me give this a shot. If it fails, it's not going to be for want of trying, but it probably is going to be too late for me to do this or to take this step in years to come. After a few months, he got convinced and said, okay, this is what you need to do. You only have 2 years. So I had to make it work. It had to work, else I was going to have to go get a job afterwards. At some point when I started, 8 months, there was nothing came in, for 8 months. towards the tail end of the 8th month, as I'm pitching to clients, if it doesn't work, I had to drop my resume too, at the same time. So that was
a proposal, or you get a CV.
You either get a proposal or you get a CV. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That was, I think, one of the first bold move I make, and I'm glad I did.
So let's understand your childhood. How did you grow up? Because having that audacity to pioneer an industry, I'm going to put it that way, because you started Wild Fusion before the days of Facebook, before the days of WhatsApp, before the days of Instagram. There was no Instagram, as a matter of fact.
There was no Instagram.
So
2010 was pre-Instagram.
You're pioneering digital agency before the digital era. Tell us about that journey. What was it like? It's like groping in the dark.
So just a little bit about my background.
Yeah.
I grew up in Calabar. My dad was a businessman. My mom was a civil servant. And so lower middle class, Nigerian family. So that's a little bit about my background. And I was overly passionate about building something that, we could all look back. I could look back at when I'm older and I can say, with God's help, this I have done. That was so important and critical for me.
Yeah.
Then circling back to your question, yes, 2010, 2009 was pre-social media in Nigeria, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snap, and all of that. Just like there were dinosaurs on the street back then. It was the dark ages. We had High Five. We had another... To go. Yeah. To go back then. There were not 3G networks, no 4 5Gs. You had the GPRS. So whatever.
Symbian phones, Nokia 3310, Blackberries, and all of pre-Blackberries, to be honest. So starting at that time was a bit too premature. So it was very difficult because a lot of the times when I was talking to people about digital marketing, they don't understand what you're talking about. And these are like reputable companies. They saw the art online, but they don't understand how do I bring this to life for my company. And I'll just digress a little bit here. Please do.
For those of you listening, those of your listeners, your listeners who do have the gunpowder, the capital to invest or start a new business and are wondering, what do I do? One of your best bets might be to look at the Western society, to look at the global north, to look at, what is going on in that market that we would probably need, and play to the sector or play to the area of your passion. And you could take that idea, if you like. You must customize it, localize it, adapt it to the peculiarities of our local market, and start very small to see if it will work. So that's just a piece of advice out there. So look at it like I did the same. Digital marketing was big in other markets, but here in Africa, it was still at the early stage. No Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram, no Snap, and no TikTok. So talk less of video content. Yahoo was the most visited website at that time.
Okay.
The Google Digital Network was just starting at that time. So I had to go around pitching digital display advertising to a number of clients as of that time. I spent about 90% of my pitch time training and then 10% to pitch. And after 8 months of hard work and moving around Lagos, I was able to finally convince a client.
Who was your first client?
InterSwitch. InterSwitch was the first major client.
How did it go? What was that experience like?
I think also at that point too, InterSwitch was also ready. Being a technology company, they were more open-minded. They were more comfortable with trying new things. InterSwitch is a very innovative company. So they were the very big client. But prior to InterSwitch, there was a small business, an SME, that I had done one or two things with called Baby M. But InterSwitch was the first major client that I had at that time. Yeah.
So I think it's pretty much interesting for us to understand what it takes to pioneer an industry, for you to be the ones receiving the scars, and then people learning from your own mistakes.
Because what people were used to was traditional media.
Yeah, exactly.
So you come in to say, and did you think that the players in the traditional media space felt some form of threat?
To be honest, it was too premature. Nobody could feel any threat at that time. Like, they were like, what is this guy talking about? I think 4 or 5 years later, they definitely saw that this was an impending, this was bound to happen. You either adapt or you get outdated, or you go extinct. So it's not for the faint-hearted, I will say it again. And that's why it's so important that whatever you're going in to do as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, it has to be from a passion point of view. And please, I want to use this opportunity to celebrate our entrepreneurs, our tech startup founders, who through the night and day, they are burning the midnight oil, working so hard, bedraggled, strained, invested everything they have, their reputation, which is very difficult sometimes to invest, because you have to pitch and tell people this will work. Sometimes they have to invest. Sometimes relationship, and I have seen all sorts. I have seen a gentleman literally took a bold risk, and I felt absolutely sorry for him, and I really, really want to help him. And I told him, listen, you need to make sure this works, because he literally went to his entire network, including his pastor, uncles, family, everybody around him, to get them to invest in his startup. If it doesn't work, that is your entire network, your reputation gone forever, perhaps. I've also seen another gentleman, sold his inheritance, went to the dad and asked, like the prodigal son, went to his dad and asked for his inheritance. And the dad generously and obviously believing in his son gave him the property, and he sold it to invest in the startup. And the startup is doing well today. And I was very impressed by that. Not only that, but also the economics were good, and I also invested. Right now we look back at it and we're like, whoa, you are bold. I thought I was, but you are bold, man.
Yeah.
So I've also seen people go not only to the dad or to their family members, they go as far as their in-laws, which is another dynamics entirely. So I want to use this opportunity to celebrate these hardworking startup founders, and to encourage everyone listening. Please make sure you work with your conviction, because some of these dynamics are you can't read. Yes, you can take all the logical steps, do all the assessment and appraisal of an opportunity, all you can, but you still have to have that deep, clear beat moment where you say, you know what, out of conviction, this will work, because that's what fuels you when you see nothing. That is what would get you out of the stratosphere to outer space, where gravity can't bring you down anymore. So it's so important to encourage these ones. It's very important to admire them. Some people have failed, but that doesn't mean there are lots of lessons to learn. We have to also celebrate the people that have failed, because I can tell you, it's not an easy world out there for the faint-hearted. Nigeria, on the ease of doing business index, Nigeria ranks very low. So you have to deal with a litany of problems: poor infrastructure, human, physical, talent, capital, interest rate, inflation rates, exchange rate. You have to deal with all of this and still, get off the ground to cruising altitude, surmount the stratosphere, and defy gravity so you don't come back. So, that's all I would say.
Tell us about one of your Nigerian problem that you surmounted, the biggest one, because defying all odds, especially relating to Nigeria, which one of them almost sank you and you surmounted?
So I will tell you about I think
case studies, please.
Yeah, I think they are interrelated. I will tell you about talent. Talent is so important, especially for the service business and also for the product companies. Having access to the right talent, it's so critical. If you do not have the right talent, you can sink. And just like physical infrastructure, human infrastructure, which is talent in this case, is also very important to build for building businesses. If you don't have the right talent, you may be unable to build a business properly. So one of the things I did was to, in the early times, about 11 years ago, I set up the Wild Vision Digital Center, which is a training center for training digital talent. Now, this wasn't just another income generating outfit, but it was to ensure that the group, the entity, for decades to come, will have access to talent. So we will have access to trained talent to power the business. So that has been so critical. We standardized the training, we set it up as a different business. And that has been very important for us and strategic for us, because we have hired a number of people from the training center. They have grown through the ranks and the business, and not just getting good talent, but also being able to retain talent. So retaining talent, retention is so critical. So it's so important to build a fierce, strong employer brand, so talent will want to continuously be involved and associated with you. A lot of times I have seen where a strong influencer brand, I beg your pardon. I've seen where a strong employer brand actually, in case studies, reduces the cost of talent. So let me give you a classic example. If you have, hypothetically speaking, Apple come into the country today and say, hey, Frank, we're hiring, we need someone to host our podcast in Nigeria, and we're only going to pay you $5 a month. Chances are that podcasters will jump on it because it's an Apple brand. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If you have a nobody come in to say something like that, they wouldn't. So it's so important to build that employer brand, and also most importantly to treat your employees very well, transparently. Also define clearly your leadership style. I like the empathetic leadership style.
Yeah.
And we have seen that pay off over time. I have seen that pay off over time. So that has led to a long stay when it comes to some of our talent. Some of our leaders have been in the business for 10 years. Some of our leaders 8 years, 7 years. Currently, we do have top leadership of the business that have been with us for about 10 years, each of them.
Wow.
I'm talking about almost 4 or 5 people. So it's intentional. It's not, you don't stumble on things like that. It has to be well, carefully thought through, crafted and designed. So yes, talent was the biggest problem, and I almost went belly up on that one. But yeah, that was how it was surmounted.
So I'm thinking that 2 levels. You go to meet clients, you're educating before selling. You now come back to also do the work and realize you don't also have the talent, so you also have to educate. And because of that, you created a system that produces the talent for you to work. Now, in some ways, again, some people will say you're producing your competition.
Yep.
You're producing your competition. So how do you work in such a way that, although you mentioned something about building empathetic approach to leadership, such that people realize that you are this is not just a means to an end, building this is an end in itself, and it can be an end in itself for all of us. But how did you manage the contrast of that?
Yeah. So it's so important. And I say this, and I'm going to say this again. You need to have that conviction. You need to have that clear bid moment. You need to have that soulful clarity about what you're doing. I knew very well. A lot of people came to me, listen, why are you training people? you're going to just end up building up competitors for yourself. But that was a very short-sighted, myopic way of looking at it. I was building an industry. I don't care if you were my competitor. The industry is big. It's more than enough. What they did not see was the reputational positioning that came with the training, the talent pipeline that was coming with it, through it, the loyalty of the alumni to the brand, even if they are they're in different companies, the business development opportunities. I can't count how many clients have come from that training center. So just training, you end up, the client is knocking on your door the next day. They see you as, this is the one that opened the door for me. A couple of months I was in England, and I was on the street just walking, and someone walked up to me and was like, thank you so much. I'm like, for what? Who are you? And he's like, this is my name. I attended this training, and because of this training, I am here in England today. And I'm like,
so in a way, you're a spiritual leader now.
I don't know what.
I'm calling you P. Abbas.
No, I don't know what you're talking
The P is
about.
not pastor. The P actually is prophet.
No, I don't know what you're talking about with that one. But yes, so absolutely, it's very short-sighted and myopic to look at it from that perspective. So you have to work with conviction. You have to understand that this is, you're building an industry. You have to look beyond what you see immediately, and you think about the greater good. And once you're long-sighted, a lot of times when you're long-sighted and you take decisions, people that are short-sighted see it as foolishness.
Yeah, true.
So it's only someone that is long-sighted and aligns with you that gets to see what you're doing. So yes, I did face all of that. And trust me, it was, I mean, including internal stakeholders. Yeah, but you have to surmount all of that and work with your conviction. Yeah.
The interplay between business, technology, and marketing, was it by design? Was it like from childhood you were inclined to enterprise, or was it education that channeled you into this?
Yeah. So from childhood, I was inclined to enterprise. I was always very passionate about technology from childhood. I started building websites. I mean, coding with HTML at a very early age. I was overly fascinated by even technology. I mean, movies that had any sci-fi, play to it and all of that. So, yes, I was passionate about technology. I was always very enterprising as a kid, and yeah, so all of this just came together as I got older. It's so important I played to my strengths. Yeah.
You've built businesses across 3 different countries, and you've scaled to different African countries. Tell us about what it takes to build businesses in other parts of Africa, and stories that you found out yourself, you were not told. And when you got there, you understood that, whoa, this is way different from Nigeria. This is how you approach this. This is how you approach that. And that was even pre the AFTA agreement. That's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Yeah.
That just, I think they did the 1 year anniversary sometime last month. Tell us about building in other African countries.
So I would say it's very important to understand the countries. I was driven mainly by passion.
Okay, so before you even continue, I would love to find out, in Nigeria, were you done with the Nigerian market before going into other countries? Or what informed your decision to also scale? Add that to your answer.
Right, what informed my decision to scale? To be honest, I wasn't done with Nigeria.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you look at the size of the Nigerian economy, you can piece in multiple African countries into that size. So why leave this bone with a lot of meat on it to go to another bone with little or no meat on it? So, but for me, I looked beyond just profit. It was more about, I looked at business as, I see business as purpose. I see business as, I have to do this to move Africa to move Africans and Africa from point A to point B economically. So it wasn't so much about money, but it was so much about passion. And yes, sometimes passion feels so hard, and you get burnt, you have scars, just like you mentioned earlier. One of the first things that hit me when I went out to Ghana then was, the cultural, differences. We are so driven in this part of the world. They are a little bit chill. They're like, you know what, take it easy. What is all of this?
Charlie, calm down.
So I struggled with that.
Oh, really?
The business collapsed after 2 years. I set it up again, set up a new team. It collapsed after about a year. Set it up again, set up a new team. It collapsed again. So
why did it collapse?
For so many reasons. So the first reason is you need to. First of all, it was also very early times. So I got into Ghana in 2011, 2012. The market perhaps was not ready at that time, and also being a Nigerian, going to another market, you need a decent level of capital. If you don't have the capital, then you will be fighting, for lack of better description, people
Village
that
people.
have. You would have to contend with local competitors,
Gunpowder.
and it's business is territorial. I mean, it's their territories, so you have to go there, and when you're going to someone else's territory, you have to prove your worth. So either you have more capital, newer products, or better ways of doing things, and all of that.
And you pay
So-
street levy.
Yeah, so I had that challenge, and because it was built around people, I had a philosophy to use the locals to build a business.
Yeah.
So I didn't want a situation where I had to move Nigerians over, because you're not going to be empowering the locals.
Yeah, very
so
true.
once I had key talent moving on, and especially if the business was built around the key talent, then there goes your business. So a number of times you have a year or two of a country director and he decides to move on, and everything moves with him. So I had to find a way of reducing the key man risk in the market,
Reducing the key man risk.
or eliminating the key man risk
Can
in
you
that
take
market.
that again and really expatiate on that, because it's very important. It looks like it's something that holds the structure of businesses. especially-
Absolutely.
So explain the concept of reducing the key man risk.
So reducing the key man risk, it's a key component of corporate governance. What you don't want to have is one person that is like the sun, and the solar system revolves around him. Without the sun, all the planets do not have light, or they collapse. So you have to be able to, for lack of better description, not only have one sun, but have. So if one drops, and all of that. So you have to put up a board. You have to have a management team that have distributed responsibilities and capabilities. You don't build a business around a person. And even for myself as the group CEO, we've also de-risked the business such that if let's say I decide to take some time off the business, perhaps a year, the business can still run as it is today, which is the case right now today. So I learned that the hard way in another market in Ghana. So I had to eliminate that key man risk. So for the last 7-8 years now, Ghana has been, hasn't gone belly up again, and is doing very, very well as today, thanks to Samuel, who is a country director today, and the great team at Ghana. So yeah, the cultural differences. Yes, we're Africans, but there are nuances, local nuances that differentiates us.
A few nuances you can explain, apart from the one you talked about.
Yeah, that is very key. The drive, because if you are Nigerian, you're passionate, and your co-driver is not. It's saying you're moving so fast. You need to slow down.
Why the rush?
And you're wondering what's going on now. This is not how we know how
No
to
ginger.
do it. So, but that has really significantly improved lately. And that's the thing with globalization. The more technology is prevalent, the more the boundaries between culture gets blurry. It blurs the boundaries between culture and all these nuances. So I have seen really, really aggressive and passionate Ghanaian business, and I'm like, whoa. This is different, And yeah, so the same thing with Kenya. I also had that struggle with Kenya, and the operation literally also went down. And again, you need the resources to be able to run a strong multi-cultural, what do I say? You need the resources, not just human, but financial resources to run an international business. So yes, that had been a challenge. Those are the challenges I have experienced. And I've also had challenges with just, geopolitical challenges. I'm not going to mention the name of a country. I have gone to a Franco-speaking country to set up operation, and I got detained at the airport. Again, these countries, they have the way they do things. They also have a way they perceive Anglo-Africa. So I understood the geopolitics there, but I got detained at the airport for a few hours. My background checks and investigation being carried out, documentation, all sorts of things, and a threat of being deported. So again, all this was fueled by your determination, your conviction, the passion to build a multi-country, a Pan-African business, if you may. And it's not just about creating wealth; it's also about moving people from point A to point B economically. Yeah.
So some people would say that it's easier to transact with say the global north and say the US or the UK to have a business transaction from Nigeria and the US or the UK than transacting within Africa. You've done businesses across the world. Do you validate that statement? Is it how difficult is it for us to transact with Ghana, with Kenya, with Morocco, and
to some extent, yes.
Why?
That's why you have AfTA, the Continental Free Trade Agreement, where they want to eliminate, where AU wants to eliminate the challenges of carrying out intra-African trade. You had the IATF event that just got completed at Algiers. I think it's still going on. I think it's still ongoing, if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me correctly. So all of these challenges, they are there. Let me give you a classic example.
Please do.
It takes me about 30 minutes to send money to New York or to Atlanta. It would take me at least 4 days for the same amount to go to Accra. And Accra is an hour away, and New York is 7 hours away. So that's just a classic example. Now, if you double click on that particular issue, what you would see is the fact that there are regulatory constraints. There are cultural regulatory constraint that needs to be eliminated, especially around money transfer. There is need for standardization, within the region. So I like what's going on with ECOWAS and the SADC and other regional blocks. If these regional blocks are well integrated, the ECOWAS are planning a sub-region, a regional currency. That's a good one. That would help trade and funds transfer. That becomes a lot easier. But if we don't intentionally take this step, it will be a lot easier doing business with foreigners than doing business with ourselves as Africans.
Now, as African, I feel that we have a responsibility, just like you said, not just to create wealth for ourselves as individuals, but to ensure that we're able to spread the wealth. Because we know that ignorance and poverty are two weapons, are weaponized here. Ignorance and poverty are weaponized here. From your part of working in an industry where I almost think that technology is the most disruptive industry. Why do I mean? Just as you think you know HTML and you're beginning to say, okay, I think I figured this out.
Something
Something
else
else
is
is
coming out.
coming. Something else is coming.
Right.
Now, how do you stay agile in such a space where there's always something coming up? And for instance, Apple launched the new iPhone.
Live translation.
They launched it. They launched the iPhone 17, I think.
Yeah.
And they lost about 10% of their value because some people believe that it was not innovative enough.
Yep.
You see the pressure of being innovative in a tech industry. How do you, an African, that is not necessarily, you don't create these technologies, you are basically a user of the technology, how do you remain agile?
Okay, I'm going to speak to two things. So first of all, you must be open-minded. You must be always learning, and that's why for me the training is so important. Training is critical. Always learning, it's so important. Listening to podcasts like this are so important. So you learn every day. And you must have that forward-thinking, open-minded mindset, because technology evolves every day. My dad is still battling to understand how social media works, and now there's AI. so you have to be open. You have to always learn. And I want to circle back to what you talked about, that we consume and we're not creating.
Yeah.
We must start to create. And we are creating our technologies, and not only create, we must begin to invest. And because when we invest, what we are doing is we are creating what we call digital autonomy, where we own our own technology. Let me just digress a little bit, if you'll permit me, Mr. Frank.
Please do.
By 2023, the investment and the size of the AI industry would be $5 trillion. By 2023. By 2033, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Okay.
Now, that is larger than the combined GDP of 54 countries in Africa. Just AI alone. AI is going to power every single thing in the future, from military defense to technology to healthcare to content creation to every single thing. Now, if we remain at the consumption side of the table, we will be overly vulnerable. Vulnerable to risk like losing our digital autonomy, our data autonomy.
True.
Because your data is being hosted in other countries. You don't have the assets. You don't have the data centers to host your data. You're depending on technology that was created by others. Those technologies are not going to address the peculiarities of your problems.
True.
We have issues around, there was issues around AI-powered diagnostic systems. I don't want to mention the name of a company, but when it came to when the system were used to detect breast cancer, but when it came to the African woman, there were a lot of errors. There were what they call false positives, or I think false negative or whatever. Why? Because the data that was used to train the system, we didn't have enough African data. So that was a risk there. So there is a risk of bias, where AI that will power the future is making poorer decisions because we are not in that value chain, or we are not helping to create the right type of data to make to help these systems make the right decisions. So we had a risk of bias, a risk of losing our autonomy, data, digital technology autonomy, and all of that. And for a future where the world is going to be powered by artificial intelligence, you can actually see how vulnerable you are. You would see how vulnerable you are. Other countries, or if we start talking about sovereignty, there are certain countries that wouldn't need to even send an army to you. All they need to do is push a button.
Very true.
And your healthcare system
is in shambles.
begins to have one issue or the other. So it's so critical that we become part of this evolution, this fourth industrial revolution. We may have missed the first, we may have missed the second, we may have missed the third.
Yeah.
And I'm using the word may for obvious reasons. But the fourth is here, the fourth beckons, the industrial revolution is here, the age of AI.
Do you think that, what's it called? Quantum computing, robotics, AI, genome, and the rest of them, do you think that these technologies would sort of aggregate and make life across the world sort of like the same, if you know what I mean? Because, for instance, if we all have access to AI, it means that we can all produce the same kind of results.
Yeah, so in a way, I do understand these technologies that you've mentioned, this advanced technology in the fourth industrial revolution, robotics, quantum computing, and all of this, they are here to stay, and they will become an integral part of human existence. Yeah, that is bound to happen. Now, the mistake we would make is not contribute to the design of this technology.
Okay.
That's the biggest mistake we will make.
Yeah.
And if we don't contribute to that design, then we will be in trouble. Let me give you a classic example. You talked about Apple launch, so I would double click on that. They also launched a feature on the airports where live translation, where people from different languages, they could speak to themselves and the airports will interpret. Brilliant, innovative solution. But if we do not contribute and if we do not digitize the Yoruba language, the Igbo language, the Efiks, the Bibios, the Hausas, and all these languages we do have in our country, so that someone speaking Mandarin to a Hausa man that can't speak English, what he's saying, the Hausa man should be able to understand. And what the Hausa guy says back to him, or the Igbo, or the Bibio, or the Yoruba, or the man that's speaking Swahili, the Mandarin guy should be able to understand. The global north or other people they wouldn't come to solve your problem for you. They'll solve theirs. That is where sovereignty, digital sovereignty comes in. Because in the future, or where we're already in the future, this technology, it's going to define who we are, our identity. It's going to influence our culture. They're going to be used in schools.
Yeah.
People already, you go online and you run a search on ChatGPT, tell me about this. It's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah,
it's what you feed ChatGPT that it gives back to you. If you don't tell ChatGPT the truth, you're not going to get the truth out. That's the honest truth. So data enablement, data labeling, data annotation, these are at the early stage of the AI value chain. We must play in that space as Africans, because yet it's not as and that's why I love companies like Sama, an African company like Sama that started in Africa.
Yeah.
We must play in that data enablement space. So we are digitizing African data such that other countries, if they may, can take that data to feed their AI systems. So what the AI then feeds out or brings out, it's a true representation of who we are. We don't lose our identity and we don't lose our culture. Someone would say, oh, how do I tie gele? And AI now shows you how to tie something else. Because nobody has fed that into the system.
Yeah, true.
And there's your culture going right there.
And instead of tying gilly, you tie gilly.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and these are systems that are going to be an integral part of education, integral part of healthcare, defense, and all of that. So I'm a big proponent of digital autonomy, data sovereignty, technology sovereignty, and I'm pushing so hard on that. This year alone, $155 billion has been invested. That's about, almost, I think about 30% the GDP of Nigeria.
Yeah, that's right.
That's have been invested in AI alone this year by the big, the big five or the big fours. Do you understand? Now, how can we get a portion of that into the continent? Of course we can. Of course we can. We may not be it may not be at the point where we are creating the sophisticated algorithm, but at the data enablement side, we will be killing multiple birds with one stone, providing the right data, which protects our identity, culture, our sovereignty, data sovereignty, digital sovereignty, AI sovereignty, and all of that. We will be providing diversity and a much more inclusive world.
Yeah.
Where at the end of the day, when this technology is being used by others, it is more inclusive because it's taken into account the interest of Africans.
Yeah.
There is more sustainability, with this technology and all of that. So this is so critical for us. And there are a lot of Nigerian startups that are involved in that, and I really, really want to use this opportunity to appreciate them. Most importantly, just before I put a full stop to this question, also this response, our policymakers, they must understand the concept of data extraction and, put that side by side with the paradox of plenty or the resource cost. You must see raw data, as raw crude oil. You cannot allow raw data to leave the country and then you bring back finished technology product. It's the same thing as exporting raw crude and importing refined product. Exporting raw cocoa and bringing in chocolate. So we have to start seeing the data Nigeria produces every day. African produces every day. African policymakers, they must see the data they produce every day as raw material and start thinking, what can we do to add value to this raw data? What can we do? In this case, this value, what can we do to add value to it? Because the very core, the very primacy, the very data, the very DNA of the artificial intelligence world, it's built on data. So what can we do to add value to it? So that way we're inclusive. We create a much more inclusive world.
Yeah.
We join the global south to create more inclusive world, a more sustainable AI solution, more inclusive and devoid of bias and all of that. Yeah.
Indeed, you're passionate. Indeed, you're passionate and quite purposeful with your passion. Wow. Got me really thinking.
Very true. Very true. I was also going to say that you moved from media to tech, and it's like pivoting. So from media, you pivoted into building credit infrastructure, and you've done that for a while. But tell us about that phase. What informed you to pivot, and how did you? Was it opportunity? Was it crisis?
Right. So I wouldn't say I moved because I studied information systems.
Yeah.
For undergrad. I have a degree in information systems and management, and what that means is information system. It's technology. So whether it's used for media or fintech or whatever it is, yeah. So the very primacy, the very core of who I am professionally, I am a technologist. So, and I can leverage that for media, I can leverage that for fintech, I can leverage that for health tech or whatever. So circling back to the other side of the question, it's so as Wild Fishing grew and was doing very well, and is still doing very well, one of the things I decided to do was to set up an angel investment vehicle, joining with some of my partners under a vehicle called Green Tree that was chaired by late Mr. Bode Augusto of blessed memory. We then invested in a number of assets. We then invested in a number of assets. We were one of the very early investors in Paystack alongside a number of other investors. And we invested in a number of companies. I also personally did have my own investment under all of these companies. So
You mind if you mention a few more?
So Casava, which was the first micro insurance, startup, we went ahead to raise $4 million afterwards, and a few other
Big Cabal.
Big Cabal, that's Big Cabal Media. We all know Big Cabal and all of that. So Big Cabal, blog, but I have been very focused on fintech because
Why, please?
So I really love fintech because I strongly believe that financial enablement or opportunities would help move a lot of people out of poverty. And if there's one sector in Nigeria that Nigeria has proven to the world that they are very capable of, dominating, is our financial sector. If you look at our banks, if you look at our regulators, and if you look at the structure that we have in our financial service business, if you look at our stock market, you would see that Nigeria has quite a very active, robust financial service. So fintech definitely it's the way to play. And not only that too, but also the fact that access to financial service would move a lot of people out of poverty. So that's why a company like Casava tick the boxes in my investment thesis, because access to microinsurance for the poor, ring fences them from the challenges of you'll probably face at the bottom of the pyramid. It might be loss of income, it might be loss of device, it might be it might be health related issues and all of that. So that for me was very important. Building healthcare infrastructure, securing a central bank license to run an agency bank. Those are all, agency bank is mainly banking for the bottom of the pyramid, cash in, cash out, and withdrawal and transfer and all of that. So these are all passion points of mine. Especially business. I strongly believe business shouldn't be just about profit and money and wealth creation. There should be a veneer. There should be there should be something much more, purposeful than just creating wealth, and where you have the country with the largest number of poor people. If you're from a place like Nigeria, where it's a country with the most poor people in the world, you cannot just overlook all of this. Why create wealth without thinking about, the disadvantage? So how do we do this sustainably? How do we do this in a way that moves people from point A to point B?
But people will say that the contrary is what is happening, because it looks like all the capital will look at the companies you've invested in, vast majority of them fintech, capital being brought into the country going into fintech. Now, what happens to the other areas of the economy that also should help bring people out of poverty? It's not only, I don't think we have a financial problem as regards transactions, but if you look at healthcare, if you look at agriculture, if you look at just education, look at it, just name it, a lot of problems across different industry. You seldom hear Nigerians say, "Oh, I'm trying to transfer money and I'm having difficulties," or that. So it looks like it's only fintech that has been part
of investment, or is
at the expense of other industries. Why is it so? As an angel investor.
As an angel investor, so the very core of an investor is returns. So that informs all his decisions.
All right.
But this is contrary to what you said about purpose.
No. You put it side by side.
Okay.
So you don't. I love this podcast. It's side by side. So if we are a non-profit, absolutely, we would definitely consider all of that. We've done a number of I've done a number of investment in healthcare companies, and some of them are doing very well. I'm really, really, really happy with some of the progress they've made. But at the same time, too, when you're as an investor, if you're investing, you're looking for returns. So the returns might not be 10x, might not be 5x, but if it is 1x, if it's 0.5x, that's fine. But as long as you don't lose your money, depending on your appetite. So I would correct you there. It's not at the expense of other, sectors, if you may.
Okay.
But it is based on what sector it's guaranteeing the returns or bringing the returns. Sometimes the funds that you're investing, they're not your funds. They're from, limited partners. They're from people that have invested in your fund to say, you know what, make the decisions. We like what you see. We like what we see. Go ahead, make the decisions. This is the returns we're expecting. So as an investor, you have to start thinking, where can I put these funds in such a way that I can meet the objectives of my partners?
So what industry do you think is the next big thing after fintech?
After fintech,
Because it looks like fintech is or what do you think, Ademola? Don't you think that fintech is what is being pushed, and we're seeing funding? As a matter of fact, based on 2024 data, 70%, more than 70% of monies that a lot of startups raised went into fintech. More than 70%. And so what happened to other industries? And I'm like, if you solve problems in those industries, you're going to get returns. Or what is the underlying problem?
it's just investors' confidence. Just investors' confidence. So capital, if you follow the money goes on the part of confidence. So if you see money going this way, a lot of people throwing money in there, it is a reflection of investors' confidence or investors' forecast. Do you understand? So it's the same thing you see in the world of AI. Why is everybody throwing money into AI? Some countries are frowning at it because they need all this money. I mean, we talked about $155 billion, a decent chunk of Nigeria's GDP, only this year on AI, and it's a reflection of, investors' confidence. Yeah, I'll put it that way.
How can we change that? Because I need it changed. No, it's the truth of the matter. Let me not say changed, but at least we need a fair game in the marketplace. Everything is going into fintech, and that's why we're seeing. I'm going to correct that. Not everything, but vast majority of funding going into fintech. However, we need a fair play. Our agricultural sector is going down the drain. Healthcare going down the drain, and we can't compete with the West, because I'm also going to say this, that if we're trying to skip industrialization and go into the fourth industrial revolution, we're trying to skip industrialization. We still need industries powered by monies of angel investors, monies of VCs, monies of private equity in different sectors, production, in packaging, in agriculture. These are the conversations, and I'm saying this passionately because I'm speaking to an angel investor, not in the capacity of what you've done as regards your businesses, but as regards being an investor, impact-driven investor. Because you spoke about purpose, right, and that is really required in the Nigerian business landscape. What do you think about that?
I think most importantly, again, this is a call to action for entrepreneurs. Once you make it attractive, the investors will come. Once you wield their confidence or you stir their confidence, capital would follow. So it's so important to put the right thing in place to attract the investors. And if you take a look,
what are the right things?
So first of all, getting your business proposition right. First of all, getting your product market fit, revenue growth, profit margins, all of those things that prove to an investor this is what investing in, de-risking the business, corporate governance, structure, all of those things. But if you take a step backward and look at the stock market,
yes, let's do it.
I'll be very honest with you. Some of the agricultural listed companies, they are doing very, very well. And I also know a litany of agriculture companies that are not listed that are also doing very well, because with a devalued currency, it encourages export. A lot of them are exporting their agricultural produce. You know, yeah, I know at least a couple of agricultural companies that are trying to get listed.
Yeah.
You know, and this is because they have done so well in the since the beginning of the year. So again, once you get the business fundamentals once you get the business fundamentals right, capital is just it's easy to acquire or to secure.
You said something about starting from service,
And
then
pivoting to product.
you build revenue to start products. So I was thinking that peradventure, the reason why we have a lot of FDIs focusing much more on service-based business is because, yes, people actually need a lot of funds in order to begin to actually manufacture. Because I remember that there was an headline some few months ago that the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria was concerned because Nigeria's GDP was powered by much more service-oriented
businesses,
sectors,
yeah.
and that was, they believed strongly that it was going to be a challenge for a non-developed nation like ours. So, what's your opinion about that? Do you feel that is, because I know there are some countries like the Swiss banks are basically all financial. Whenever you think them, you're just thinking services, financial services.
Very true.
So just let's take a step backward and look at this from this perspective. Yeah, the service business is heavily dependent on human capacity. That's human skills, you know, human infrastructure, if you may. The manufacturing is heavily dependent on physical infrastructure. You know, physical infrastructure, the roads, electricity, power, bridges, and all of that. You know, if you don't have that, it's going to stifle the manufacturing industry. If we don't have enough infrastructure, they will be fine. It will be more challenging. So if you manufacture, you know, something, if you manufacture chairs in a particular local government and you can move them to a particular market because there are no roads, then why would I invest in manufacturing chairs?
There are literally no roads to markets.
No roads to market.
So those are some of the challenges. Infrastructure is a big challenge for the manufacturers. It's also a big challenge for the service business too, because when it comes to service, then you're not talking about talent. Some of our finest brains have left the country. You know, whether you look at the technology sector or you're looking at the financial sector, you know, how do we scale to a way to bring them back? So when you're talking about Switzerland, they have some of the finest brains when it comes to financial services, because to maintain an economy that is built around financial service, you need to have the finest hands, talent. You know, the finest talent. So that's on one side. The other side is the barriers to entry are different. For a service company, the barriers to entry is a lot lower. If you have a right brain if you have a right head on your shoulder and you know what to do, you can get started.
Very true.
Manufacturing, you need capital, you need a balance sheet,
raw materials.
Compound.
I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
thanks. Yeah.
So I would love us to just dwell a bit on investment. Tell us about an investment you passed on that ended up becoming a rocket ship, one that you forever regret.
In his words, that left the stratosphere.
Exactly.
I can't mention names because this one is so popular.
Yeah, tell us about it.
I can't mention the name, but it's so popular. Yeah.
Okay. What industry?
You know the industry.
I don't know the industry.
It's fintech.
Fintech.
We actually did put the money on this in this particular venture.
Yeah.
And a few misunderstandings here and there, and we questioned the corporate governance. And obviously, corporate governance will be a challenge in a company that's just starting.
True.
So it's not unusual.
Yeah.
But we questioned it, and we're like, we need our money back.
And then?
And the founder begged and said, no, please, there's no need doing this. There's no need. We're like, nope, I am this. I actually was on the phone with the founder for about 3 hours.
Wow.
You know, And after a lot of back and forth, he returned the funds. And I'm not kidding you right now. This is like 10,000x.
Jesus.
This is like 10,000x. So, so it's not just about if you want scars, I'll tell you scars. I'll tell you about scars. I'll also tell you about wins. So that's the thing. People come up there.
What would you have done differently?
What would I have done differently?
Now in hindsight.
In hindsight, I should have
To
been a
not
bit
miss
more.
out on
We
that
should have been a
investment.
bit more patient with him. We should have been a bit more patient with him. I think we were a bit too. We should have been a bit more patient. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's how. I mean, the world of investment. You need to know what you're doing. You know, some people are just. You know, they go around kissing frogs and they hope they become princes. But not all the frogs will become a prince. But you just have to keep kissing them. And this was one of our biggest regrets, because every day we looked at this, and yeah, I can't mention the name. I can't try it. I won't do it. So, but
Flutterwave?
I don't know.
Yeah. So the journey from being a startup to scaling to now investing, and you've done this in about a decade plus.
Yeah.
From my point of view, you've done really well for yourself.
Thank you.
Now we need to democratize this
Sure.
so that more people can replicate this, because a lot of people would start a startup but would never get to the point of scale, talk less of the point of becoming investors. What do you think our viewers can hold on to, critical things they can hold on to, so that you don't just start for subsistence? Because I see that a lot. People start here, but it's subsistence. They just want to be able to take care of themselves and their family. They fly abroad for vacation once in a while. I have 2 cars. I stay in Ikoyi. I'm fine.
Subsistence can't keep you in Ikoyi.
No. So there's a level of subsistence.
Yeah, I get it.
There's subsistence in Ajangbadi. there's subsistence in
True
Ikoyi.
though. Yeah, true.
So there are one-man businesses that are actually in Ikoyi.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
yeah, actually.
And they're good, really good. However, moving to the point of scaling, of saying, you know what, let's take this across borders, then going to the point of saying, you know what, let's also identify people that have potentials to scale and investing in them. What would you tell our viewers to hold on to, so that they can also grow? This trajectory can also be something they can replicate.
Right. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. So just the first question, let me answer it this way.
Please do.
Think about Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay. Yeah. At the bottom of the pyramid, it's physiological. You know, food, shelter, clothes, all of that. People would always start business for that. I started because I needed food, shelter. Remember, I had
Suke.
to.
They need Suke.
I had. At some point, if you don't want the proposal, I'll give you a brown envelope of CV. You know, it's subsistent, so it's natural. Now you get past that stage, you start thinking about other needs. You know, you start thinking about maybe legacy, impacts. You know, and so it's absolutely not natural. So I just wanted to speak to that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with starting with subsistence. You must ring fence yourself economically, protect yourself economically. Then you can then build on it.
So hedge fund yourself first. And so we get blood, they donate blood.
Yeah, I get that.
So, and to speak to the other question that you raised, it is so critical. It is so important that you are absolutely clear about and convinced and about what you're about to do. A lot of people aren't. Do you understand? Some people just, you look online and you see someone he's now successful and he folds his hand on TechCrunch or folds his hand on Nairametrics and you're like, I want to be like, he doesn't have 2 heads, I can do it. But what you don't know is the litany of challenges that he's gone through, because we don't talk about the failures a lot. We don't talk about the challenges a lot. We publicize success, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So what people keep saying is, it's easy. It looks like it's easy. It's easy. It's easy. And you're going ill prepared. You're going, for lack of better description, ill fortified for what lies ahead. And before you know what happens, a year or two later, you give up and you move on. It's very important to be convinced. It's very important to be tunnel vision on what you're trying to do, and follow your passion. My passion, I'm not even kidding you. When you look at my journal at the age of 16 and 17, I already scribbled down that I would have businesses across Africa at the age of 16, 17. So it's not, I didn't wake up there's so much that goes into this thing, and this is not just the end, and this is not just something that started a decade ago. Okay, by God's grace, in the nearest future, a lot of this is going to happen. It's not just going to be Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya. You would see more. This is things I journaled down at the age of 16, 17. So it comes from a place of conviction. It comes from a place of you've been dreaming, you've been aspiring. This is what you wanted to do. At the age of 15, I knew I was going to be a software engineer. I literally wrote it down. This is what I want to do. I told my dad, and my dad was like, "What is that? Take it away, brother. Why don't you be an electrical engineer, work in an oil and gas company?" So and all of that.
So there was a level of awareness.
Of course, you have to be you have to be absolutely self-aware, and that's why I keep using the word clear bead. You have to know, with strong conviction what you're going into. It's not you don't stumble into it. If you stumble into it, most likely you will stumble out, or you lose your way.
Tell us a little bit about democratizing it. So it's like you said, it doesn't look easy, obviously, but there's so many people who are ready to put in the work,
right?
But they don't know how
to do it.
Yeah. So let us talk about, like he asked. Let us talk about democratizing Abbas.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, democratizing.
That sounds like a book. I hope you're writing one.
Oh God, democratizing Abbas.
Democratizing Abbas in the north, in the west, in the east, in North Africa, in different parts of Africa. People watching. More of you. And what does it take? What would you say? I don't want to say the blueprint, but what is like the blueprint? That's what I end up using.
I think for me it's self-awareness. I think that is so critical. Self-awareness is so critical. Reading books, it's so important. Understanding yourself, your passion, and you must be on that part where you say, this part is what I want to hold for the rest of my life. Come what may, whether it's profitable or not, you're so convinced this is what I want to do. I think that's so important. And training is also very critical. It could be in school, it could be mentorship, it could be seminars or whatever. And also what I'm already doing, angel investing. You have to invest in people. If you don't invest in people, they will struggle. So that's why I'm actively investing, and a lot of the companies I've invested in, I've mentored them. I've mentored the founders, and I am so, when I look back at all of this, I'm so grateful to God that there's a lot of these people are successful. A lot of these people are successful, and I am absolutely eternally grateful. Not because I've done everything on my own, but with God's help, this has been possible. So in terms of democratizing, making this available, I would say conviction, I would say training, I would say mentorship, I would say passion, and also that's on the demand side. On the supply side, the much established people, we need to be able, everybody should, no matter how much you have, set up a small fund, where you can use to support credible starters and founders around you. it doesn't necessarily have to be a formal family office. You know, it could just be a little, you know, box of a little treasure chest where you know, sow into starters, you know, advise them and nurture them, and you can do it commercially. So if you want some return from it, you can do it commercially and get some returns for it. But while you're at it, have at the back of your mind, be ready to lose whatever you're sowing. Have that at the back of your mind. So you don't sell your family assets to start bad, you know, because it's high risk. Yeah.
Who trained the trainer?
What do you mean?
You train people, you mentor people. Who mentored you?
That's what I'm saying. Honestly, I mean, in all sincerity, Frank,
Yeah.
I will be absolutely honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I read from so many people, listen to so many people, run to so many people for advice. But at the very core of who I am, it's the principles of the Bible and the principles of spirituality. So I would put it that way. I have a number of people I go to ask questions. As of this morning, while waiting for this podcast, I was in the car, you know, speaking to people, receiving advice and all of that. So every day. So a litany of people out there. So yeah, that would be my response to it.
So can I quickly add something to that?
Yes, please.
Because I love what you just said. So can you give pointers, books, 2-3 books that at least people can pick up and say.
So to even add to that, I'm going to tell our viewers, it's a little secret. You know where we met? We met in church, and I'll put it this way. He's someone who has a very spiritual approach to life, to everything, most things he does. So I watch you from afar and I see the way you handle things. So it's really, I also need you to talk about the spirituality of business. Africa is a very spiritual continent,
Right?
but it looks like we don't use our weapon.
Religious. Africa is religious.
Thank you. Okay, Africa is a very religious continent. So how can we spiritualize that
Yes,
religiosity?
thank you. I like that.
How can we, in one way or the other?
It is profitable.
You guys need to break that down for me because
Yeah.
you guys have gone out of business, my comfort zone now.
No, true.
So, like, you need to break down that question
When
a
you
little bit
mention
more.
purpose,
Yeah.
oftentimes, every time you hear people use the word purpose across the world, you realize that there's something. Robert Greene, in his book called Mastery, says that.
That's a good book.
Oh, okay, so that's one of the books. Yes. So Robert Greene, in the book called Mastery, says there's some sort of like a what do you call it? Clarity,
Clear beads,
Yes.
conviction.
like a clairvoyance, where you come to an awareness that this is why I'm here, and that he has researched through history to realize that all of the great people in history comes to an awareness of this is why they are here. They are convinced about it, and it's sort of like it's like a calling. Yes, that's the word they used. So it's like a calling of some sort. It's a purpose of some sort that they must do. And essentially, when you look at it, it's always about how to give back in one way or the other, no matter how much it is they've amassed.
Yeah.
But the word purpose, that's why I realized that. That's why when I said you're quite a passionate and purposeful person, and I said you're a prophet, of course.
I don't know about that one. But yeah, so I would come back to you because I still don't understand your question. Yeah, but
Okay.
Thank you for helping me with one of the books. Another book, I read this at the age of 17, 18. It's called Success, the Glenn Bland Method. It's a very old book, absolutely old. You probably get it on Amazon or perhaps a electronic copy. After reading that book, I mean, I was waiting for my WIAC result. After reading the book, I charted my entire course for almost 50, 60 years, mapped it out. So imagine doing that at the age of 16, 17. And I have followed that course, and on that book, on that blueprint, I had training on it. At the age of 18, I had countries across Africa on it. I had, investments, moving people out of poverty, all on it, all of those things. So again, just re-echoing what you've said, you need to have that inner conviction about who you need to find it. Everybody has something.
Yeah.
It's there. Sometimes it's covered with perhaps emotions or stress, or you need to go to that place of perhaps seclusion, that introverted space where you say, you know what, I need to really know, I need to find that thing inside me. And a lot of times books do help. I really wish we'd read a lot more. I really sincerely wish we do read a lot more.
So I was saying about spirituality and business. How do you combine it? Like, what is the place of spirituality in building successful businesses?
So it's all from a perspective standpoint. For me, I look at it from a purpose point of view. A friend of mine will probably laugh at this. I look at it from a North Star point of view. So what is North Star for me? North Star is a star that back in the days, it was used by sailors for navigation. So if you miss your North Star, you're probably going to drift amiss. So what is that purpose, and where are you going to? Who are you? Where are you headed?
Yeah.
And business, it's a means to an end. What you're doing is taking you to that purpose. So every single thing in life all channels back to that purpose. So that's where purpose and business and spirituality makes them come together.
Yeah. Few fireside questions, just few ones. Founder life, investor life.
Founder life. Can you be more clear on that?
Which of them do you prefer? Just
Founders life, investors. Of course, investors life. Jeez, investors life. Of course, investors life. Come on, man. Anytime, any day.
Money or legacy?
Oh, legacy, of course.
Okay. I would ask you this. Tell us something that we don't know, you've never said before in public, something nobody knows about you, and that you think is very important.
Very instructive.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about me.
Yeah.
Very instructive.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's not in the public.
This is a setup, right?
It's not. It's not a setup.
Gosh, man. Where do I start? Without
amazing
getting into
sense
trouble?
of style.
My what?
Amazing sense of style. You should see his kicks. It's given. It's given. Like
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm a very resilient person. Overly resilient. I can say that. I have gone through some difficult, hard times, very hard times, and I've bounced back. And I'll just leave it at that.
Can you share one?
Not now, but I am absolutely very resilient. Yeah.
So, in an age where we found that enterprise is the way to go, I've come to a point right now where I realize that enterprise is the way to go, especially in third world Africa.
Yeah.
However, I noticed that the problem, however, is taking that enterprise from one generation to another. So somebody has built a business, done really well, is now in his 70s and 80s, then sustainability becomes a problem. Was it a knowledge problem? How do I mean? Because now we have so much knowledge that my mom used to say that there was a lot of things they didn't know, and they didn't know they did not know. For instance, even in terms of the way we parent our kids and the way they parented us. If my mom looks at you, you understand. I look at my daughter. My daughter will say, like, "Pop, what's wrong with your eye?" Now, there's so much knowledge that I feel that it should enable us build legacy businesses.
Right.
So how do you think we should approach this?
So I would say more knowledge. I would say more knowledge.
Wow.
Yeah, because absolutely we are, you're speaking to something that I'm very passionate about. Succession planning is a big problem. I'm currently advising about 3 businesses. This is just what I do. I mean, passionately. The businesses are, the founders are in their 70s, 80s. And these are very successful companies. A couple of them are listed, and the kids are not. They're not interested in the business because it's old school. It's not gang enough.
It's not cool.
So, and you see you see the hard work of these great men and women on the brink of collapse just because the kids are not interested. It's still very profitable. And a lot of times, and that's why I'm saying it's so important to always think very long term as opposed short term. A lot of times these men and women, they started these businesses to cater for their economic needs. Maslow hierarchy of needs, again, subsistence. Yeah. It gets very successful, becomes bigger across the country, and the kids will probably come up and they say, I'm not interested. And the parents they shouldn't be working in their 70s, but they can't hand it over to anybody else. So the reason why I say more knowledge, it's so that founders can get to understand succession planning. They understand the role of family trust. They understand the role of family offices. Understand the role of putting in sustainable structure so that the business can outlive them and last much longer. I'm always very impressed when I travel, especially, and you see businesses, a small coffee shop, 300 years old.
Yeah, especially in Europe.
A salon, 150 years old. And here we find a lot of businesses at 60 already. People are beginning to family tussle over who owns what, or perhaps the founder passes and the business collapses and all of that. So I agree with your mom, more knowledge. There were a lot they did not know back then. If they had known, they would put a lot of this structure in place. I would strongly recommend successful businesses to get trust services. There are a number of trust companies licensed by the Security and Exchange Commission in Nigeria. So I don't want to mention names, so I'm not advertising anyone. But search them out. They will advise you, help put structure in places. So a trust can actually hold your family's interest or your shares in a company, not necessarily you. They put a structure in place, corporate governance, hire a CEO and an MD, and do that early enough. So that way it's sustainable. And if you want, and also getting the business listed is also important because the Exchange Commission or the regulator would mandate you to be succession ready, if there is a word like that.
It's a mandate.
Not as a mandate. They have structures and rules and regulations that automatically get you prepared for succession ready, if there's a word like that. And the key man risk that we talked about earlier. So getting the business listed is so important, and I would encourage a lot of Nigerian businesses to get listed.
So are we seeing Wild Fusion PLC very soon?
Absolutely. The exchange, I'm not certain where it will be, but definitely will get listed. Yes.
African market?
Sorry?
African market? Or
the holding company will get listed. The exchange, I'm not certain yet.
Okay.
But definitely will get listed.
When? Where?
We will get listed. We will get listed.
Okay. It's been a lot of conversation. It's been pretty much interesting. From media to tech to investment
to spirituality.
We're about rounding off. But I before we go, I would just love you to just brush in on this. What is the misconception we hear about investing in Africa that you would love to inform the world about? There are a lot of angel investors. that are looking at coming into the continent, but some of them are scared. You have a lot of scared money around. You know what they always say about scared money? Scared money makes no money. So, what are the misconceptions you love to demystify around investing in Africa?
So the first thing first is everywhere in the world has its risk. You know, some places are more riskier than others. I would advise whoever is considering investing in Africa, you know, get to know Africa a little bit more. Travel down, spend some time. Maybe it might be a holiday, you know. Visit some of the tourist sites, get to know the people, perhaps even attend some local events, get to make contact. Don't rush into it. But there's significant amount of opportunities here, significant amount of latent upside that are yet to be unearthed or unraveled, just because they are locked in because of inadequate capital. Come around, don't rush it. Take your time, get to build relationships, attend event, research if there's a particular sector you want to focus on, get involved, get to know that sector very well. You can even go as far as even offering free consulting services to perhaps a company that plays in that space, just so that you get to understand that space better. But yeah, a lot of people have been burnt in Africa, but a lot of people have also made lots of good money. It's an emerging market. The country might grow at 3% this year, which is decent compared to what has happened over the last few years. And it will always continue to grow. You know, there are a lot of possibilities. Again, not dabbling into politics, but I mean, the fact that the state government can then issue out electricity licenses, I think is a good thing.
Very true.
Right now, that's a massive opportunity, tremendous opportunity for power generation companies to come in to invest if the dynamics are right. And also with electricity comes latent upside that has been buried for decades in Nigeria that would then come up. I hope we will grow our generation from perhaps 5,000 megawatt today to north of 10, 15, or perhaps 20,000 megawatts in the short term. So that will be my advice. Come around, look around, don't rush into it, take your time, and yeah, absolutely, there will be returns. Yeah.
I have a business. I want you to invest in that business. What would you want to hear from me? What would make you invest?
Sector is very so you're questioning my investment thesis. So first of all, the sector would be very important for me. The size of the market would be very important to me. I would want to have an idea of the size of demand versus supply. I would prefer a business where demand outstrips supply, and you are one of the suppliers and you can't meet demand. So irrespective of the challenges you will face, you will still be successful. Sector, what type of business and how much are you looking for? What are the risks? Are you a domain expert? Are you a key man risk? Do you have a co-founder? There are a number of things that I'll have to look into to make that decision.
Highest check you've given out?
Come on.
What about living now?
Highest check, though. I can say that. I can say that on camera. I'm sorry.
Okay. You have any other question?
It's been quite insightful and instructive. In fact, I must say, very instructive. I feel strongly that you should put your journal into a book.
Yeah, true.
Actually, so that when we say mastery and we say success, then we now say democratizing Abbas, which is the third book.
Thank you.
I think so. It's phenomenal. I find a lot of instruction in this conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'm delighted I got to meet you in person.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abbas.
Thank you.
You've heard from the man himself, and he's told you how he's been able to grow his business. As a matter of fact, from tech to from media to tech, and is now investing. passing the legacy on to the next generation. This is the starter pack of a complete entrepreneur. People who can create something from nothing and then turn that something into a legacy and then share it to others. That is the African dream. That is the Nigerian dream. And you've heard it from the Frankly Business Podcast. I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. For those who are looking at getting investment, those who are looking at maybe sending proposals, can they send to you? How can they reach out to you? Founders who are looking at maybe sharing groundbreaking ideas with you, can they reach out to you?
Yes, on social media. I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm also on Twitter. Very easily, I can be reached on those two platforms. My DM is open.
Okay, we have a usual format where
Right.
we ask questions around who you would love to have on the podcast, who you would love us to interview.
Right.
Yeah, so you're going to ask the person the question and you mention the person's name and we'll get the person and ask the person the question.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. I really do admire Aliko Dangote.
Wow.
I really do admire him. I would love to see him on this podcast.
Wow.
And one of the things I would like to ask him is what fuels his passion, what's driving him.
He sells fuel.
Nice one. What drives him? And I know it's something more than money.
Wow.
Yeah, I would like to know what that is.
Aliko Dangote, what drives you? Something more than money. Despite the fact that you have over 20,000 drivers driving more than 10,000 trucks, there's something else that drives you. We want to know on the Frankly Business Podcast. We can't wait to have you here again. Thank you very much, Abbas. It's
Thank
been
you
a great
very much,
one.
Frank, indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.